Things happening, and I see they're trying to push Jerry's family out. Just coming home from work just a few days ago, I saw a sign on the door from the sheriff's department, and after that I see a security guard posted at the door. So, I'm just kind of confused. I think of it more as these big developers trying to move in and encroach on what's ours and push the people that belong here, who've been here, not even asking us to politely move aside, but just pushing us out of the way to make room for them.
His grandfather 60 years ago that lived on Dean Street. 60 years ago he was living on Dean Street. But he passed away. I know him. He's from Barbados. I know him. And I see now that they're trying to close the door on Jerry. They put out Jerry and the holy stuff. And I don't think it's right for them to do that because they want the house. I think they should give him the time in time of court to speak about this house, not to just take it from him like that.
I've lived in Prospect Heights for the past 10 years, and I've gotten to know Jerry over that time, and been a big admirer of his house, and he's letting me know that it's one of the oldest houses in the block. Really a sad time right now that with all the new development that it's going on, that they're taking away people's homes that have been in the family for many generations. I know they say good things are coming from this, and I'm all for progression, but at the same time, it's taken away from the real New York City and building a metropolis that you can find anywhere else, and that's not something that we want for in this neighborhood. It's the one thing that we'll really miss when things have been taken from us.
I'm here basically to tell you about my buddy Jerry, who I've known for quite some time, since we were much younger. His family invested in this house over on Dean almost 60 years ago. His great-grandfather, his father, his mother, they lived in the house for many years. His family, it's like a legacy, They purchased the house 60 years ago, and it went down through the family, Beautiful family. Everybody was very intelligent, but the thing is, I invested here myself, and his family invested here, and then I'm a little worried because I have a grandson who now I want to leave my property to. But what I have found is that the city is now taking people's property and giving them half of what it's worth. And this upsets me very much so. I've heard that an eminent domain situation, because of the Atlantic Yards, has forced the city to take my friend's house. It's so sad because, what's happening is basically I'm hoping that it doesn't happen to me, because I have a property on 4th Avenue, and from what I hear is that eminent domain, they just come in, they take your property. You may have children in the house, you may have a grandmother in the house, it doesn't matter. They come in, they give you a price, they tell you the situation, and they just, boom, they take your property. Years ago, I could understand it because we were the much younger country, and eminent domain was important because they needed it, because they needed people to move up for trains and for throughways and highways. That I could understand. But now in 2015, I think they need to change some of the rules. Okay? It's very, very, very unfair that they would do this. And from what I hear, the Atlantic Project is now 70% bought by China. China has invested and bought 70% of the Atlantic Yards. So what it tells me is that here's a family that's been here for almost 60 years, okay? When nobody wanted to be here, they invested 60 years ago, and they're going to put them out give him less the money that his house is worth, and China is part of the investors. That sounds to me that they're putting everybody down who has invested in the country and in the neighborhoods, and they're just selling us out. It's just a strange situation, and it's very sad that that they would do this. I've known so many people here in the neighborhood that have basically lost their house, their homes, and I think that something needs to be done. Something seriously needs to be done about the state and eminent domain and how they go about doing it. I think it's very, very, very sad. And I really hope that, in some way, he gets his fair share of what he has put in to this earth. Because that's all it is. It's part of the earth, and we all invest in it.
I'm a big fan of Jerry Campbell, who was just locked out of his home recently here on Dean Street, 493 Dean Street, after the family has lived there for probably 60 years. And so I'd like to say a few things about that. I used to know the grandfather and would talk to him many times, who lived there for, I guess he bought the house probably 60 years ago. He was a great guy, very friendly, took really good care of the house and the garden outside. And when he passed away some years ago, Jerry came and owned the house then, and he would take wonderful care of the gardens. He would invite me into the house, have a cup of tea. Very, very friendly guy, very good neighbor. His mother would come sometimes and help with the gardens. They just took especially good care of it, and every time you went by the house, you'd think, wow, the roses, the flowers, the whole thing looks so beautiful. Now that's all falling apart because once he got locked out, of course, they just let things fall apart, which is kind of sad for the neighborhood. And of course, it's sad for Jerry to have had to move from his own home. Now, the interesting thing around here, at one time, this whole area, maybe 25 acres, including Jerry's house, was called the Parmentier Gardens, Horticultural and Botanic Gardens. It was really the first botanic garden in Brooklyn. When Parmentier died, which was around 1830, these gardens were then sectioned off. The house that Jerry has is around I believe it was built around 1834, maybe something like that. So it was one of the first homes, historic homes in this whole area. And Prospect Heights had many fewer houses than almost any other area in Brooklyn. So this is a really historic house. And the one next to it, which I believe Jerry may own also, is another historic house of the same era. So I was really surprised recently to hear that Bruce Ratner had gotten an award from the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Medal. I spoke to Jackie Onassis many, many years ago, and I can tell you she would not like the idea of having these homes destroyed, just torn down. The best thing, I suppose, under the circumstances, would be to actually move the homes to an area close by, maybe in the footprint here or in some beautiful place. But certainly it would be better to be close by in the Parmentier Garden area. There was Also, this was a famous area for the Flatbush Turnpike, which went right by the homes. I mean, the whole area is historic, and these are about the only homes around here that I know of that date back to that time. Maybe they're the oldest homes. So it's a horrible thing to think of that history, something Jackie Kennedy Onassis loved, the history of this country, the American history, being destroyed in this way, and by someone who got a medal, of all things, from the Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis Foundation. It's really very, very sad.